Concept of Sunnah in the Muwatta of Malik ibn Anas by Mohammed Yusuf Guraya, Mcgill University, 1969. Chapter 4, page 103. Malik nowhere in the Muwatta has specified these, whose opinions constitute consensus, and what he means by Ahl al-Ilm bi-Biladina, the scholars of our city. Abu Yusuf also holds that when Awza'i and the people of Medina, especially Malik, use such terms as بذلك عملت الأئمة وعليه أهل العلم, apologies, no Arabic, it does not mean that they refer to some actual practice of the caliphs and the agreed opinion of the learned. According to Abu Yusuf, such terms are ambiguous and obscure. Thus the consensus is That's the consensus if this is what is meant by the terms al-amr al-mujtama' alayhi or wa alayhi ahl al-ilm bi-biladina is to a great extent anonymous. Nevertheless, there are sporadic references in the Muwatta where Malik speaks of certain authorities. On a certain case in point, Malik refers to Al-Qasim ibn Muhammad, Salim ibn Abdullah, Abu Bakr ibn Abdurrahman, Sulaiman ibn Yasar, and Ibn Shihab. On another occasion, Malik quotes Umar ibn Khattab, Abdullah ibn Umar, Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, Salim ibn Abdullah, Al-Qasim ibn Muhammad, Ibn Shihab, and Sulaiman bin Yasar. Malik's pupil Ibn al-Qasim on a particular issue has referred to Ahl al-Ilm of Malik by saying the ancient scholars, that is Ibn al-Musayyib and others. But we cannot say with any certainty that these were the only scholars who are referred to in the Muwatta and whose opinions constitute the consensus in Malik. In fact, what is more plausible is that wherever Malik uses such terms, he sometimes means one group of scholars of Medina who agree with him on a particular doctrine, and on another occasion he means another group of scholars who conform to this view on certain other points. Furthermore, these different groups of scholars do not necessarily form a definite body in Medina. Rather, sometimes an individual of a particular group referred to by Malik on a certain issue may be dropped, and on another occasion he may be added to some other group. Therefore, the principle is not whether to refer to a particular body of scholars when they agree, rather the rule is to search out some of the scholars of Medina who agree with Malik on a given issue. Nevertheless, the possibility of consensus of all the scholars of Medina cannot be ruled out, since the term used by Malik is ambiguous, in that the case term al-amr al-mujtama' alayhi indana would not be sufficient. It has to be qualified by other such phrases such as al-amr alladhi la ikhtilafa fihi alladhi adraktu alayhi ahl al-ilm biladina. Apologies, no Arabic given. But according to the available evidence, even this kind of situation is not final and conclusive. We will show later on that even with the usage of the qualifying clauses, Malik has not always meant the whole community of scholars. Therefore, Malik's reference to the whole body of scholars is rare and an exception, the rule being what we have described earlier. The following example is very clear on the point. On a particular issue, Malik says, the practice or the opinion which I heard the scholars speaking of, that is the best that I heard, and that is the agreed practice or opinion. Al-amr alladhi sami'tuhu min ahli al-ilm, فهذا أحب ما سمعت إلي وهو الأمر المجتمع عليه. Apologies, no Arabic. Here, all these three terms have been used apparently in one and the same sense. At the outset, Malik starts with what he heard of the practice or opinion of certain scholars of Medina. After explaining the matter, he says, that is the best I heard. And then at the end he adds, and that is the agreed practice or opinion. His introduction to the issue indicates that Malik heard that particular case from an anonymous group of scholars in Medina, which implies that it is not the opinion of all the scholars. Our assertion about his arbitrary choice of one group of scholars who were of Malik's opinion and further supported by Malik's statement, that is the best that I heard. It shows that the opinion which Malik preferred on that particular issue was one out of many other opinions held by other scholars of Medina, which Malik did not like. In other words, Malik's arbitrary choice of one opinion out of many is equivalent to some of the Ahl al-Ilm of Medina out of many scholars. In turn, Malik's choice of this particular opinion of scholars becomes equivalent to the agreed practice, since the latter term is used to corroborate the former. This example gives a positive clue of understanding the meaning of the term al-amr al-mujtama' alayhi indana in the Muwatta. The most frequent usage of this term, suffixed by the word indana, in our opinion, or according to us, or amongst us, needs further explanation. We have already touched upon the issue in our discussion of al-amr indana and as-sunnah indana. There we said that the word indana may mean indi, with me. The same opinion or the same meaning may be covered by the word عندنا in the expression الأمر المجتمع عليه عندنا. The above case is a clear example of this meaning and of this term. In this case, Malik has claimed, and that is the agreed practice or opinion. But this agreed practice or opinion, in fact, was the opinion of some of the scholars of Medina which Malik preferred as over against others. Malik heard the scholars saying that there was no objection in fasting for a lifetime. La ba'sa bisiyam ad-dahr. Apologies, no Arabic. Provides one remains without fasts on the days forbidden by the Prophet. Malik says, and that is the best that I heard in this connection. Here Malik identifies his personal choice with the opinion of the group of scholars in Medina who held the opinion that fasting for a lifetime is unobjectionable. On a specified occasion, Malik says, this is the agreed opinion according to us, and the opinion of some of the scholars whom I like. The term the opinion of some of the scholars whom I like, in fact, is a very clear indicator of the fact that Malik used to exercise his own judgment and discrimination on the available material in the form of hadiths, statements and opinions, and he gave his preference to a certain doctrine practiced by a group of people and held by some other scholars. He then formulated his independent opinion and sought corroborative evidence from any corner, from the general practice of the people, or from the group from amongst them, or from the opinions and doctrines of some of the scholars who agreed with him on a particular issue. A decisive proof in this regard has been provided by Rabi', the defender of Malik against Shafi'i in Rabi' says, we claim that it is the consensus of the people, ijtima' an-nas, that there were 11 prostrations in the Qur'an, and there is no prostration in the Mufassal surahs, a name given to some chapters in the Qur'an. To this, Ashraf says, you must not say it is consensus of the people unless all the scholars are contacted and then informed that there was a consensus of the people on what you have claimed. They replied in the affirmative. The least they could say in this regard is that we are not aware of any of the scholars who disagree with what you claim to be an agreement. So far as your claim there is consensus of the people is concerned, you must know that the people with you in Al-Madinah prefer to say there is no agreement of the people as you assume. After producing evidence from some of the highest authorities of Malik against Malik's view, such as from Umar ibn Abdul Aziz and others, Shafi'i addresses Rabi'. He says, is it not proper for you to say that the people have agreement that there are prostrations in the Mufassal, rather than to say that people have agreement that there are no prostrations in the Mufassal? If you say that it is not proper to say so, since we do not know that they actually have agreed, but you claim that they have agreement, and you have not reported any hadith from any of the leaders supporting your claim, I don't really know who those people are with you. Are they creatures none of whom is known? We have not advanced any argument against you except from your own sources, i.e. from the people of Medina, and we have not considered the consensus in this regard except the consensus of the people of Medina. You should correct your thinking. You must know that it is not proper for you to say there is a consensus of the people of Medina until there remains no opponent to the consensus from the scholars. Rather, you should say, in what we have differed, we have given preference to such and such. Stay tuned for many more parts.